Do you think that social media has a positive or negative effect on young people?
Well, I think like everything in life, there's balances to everything. I think social media has introduced a community for a lot of teenagers. I mean, there's chats for gaming, there's chats for mental health, there's all of that type of stuff. And that's always really good, you know, to talk about all of that type of stuff. But at the end of the day, there's pros and cons to everything. In my opinion, there's more cons to younger people because at the end of the day, social media is quite unfiltered. There can be a lot of inappropriate content, along with educational content, obviously. There's tutorials and all of that. So if you ever want to pick up a new hobby, you could take it. But it can be very inappropriate for people because there's some harmful stuff on there. But it can also discourage people from connecting in real life. Sometimes it kind of desensitizes you to reality. It desensitizes you to how it's like to have a normal conversation with someone in real life, you know?
So, how do you think social media is affecting young people these days?
I feel like it can be a bit invasive sometimes due to the fact that young children have it, and when they're younger, they tend to be influenced more easily on social media, especially by due to the rise of AI.
Like realistically, no one really cares. Like you just keep swiping on everyone's story. You don't actually keep focusing unless I don't know. Maybe you're really interested, but genuinely, do you really care?
I feel like a complete ban on social media can never be a good thing due to the fact that it's a good source of information for everyone. But I feel like there should be restrictions on what children, especially under the age of 16, should be allowed to view.
I think that it has had a nuanced effect on young people, and I think that overall the effect has been more negative than positive, as we spend a lot more time indoors, and in-person communication is very important to your mental development and to your social skills. And while people can say that social media can increase the amount of communication that young people have with each other, especially across different cultures and different backgrounds, I think that overall it's a much more healthy form of communication to be in person. And social media can also create these expectations that people have of themselves and these growing expectations in society. And I think that that's kind of detrimental to young people, to kind of feel like they have to live up to all of these expectations.
I think that social media does a great job of bringing people together, and I think that that's a positive effect that we cannot ignore, but I think there are also a lot of harms that are perpetuated by frequent social media use, not only on people's physical health. Like it's been shown that there are signs of less sleep for young people.
I think the most common aspect is that people who normally don't like to socialize in public make friends with people they don't know, and they can actually develop a friendship from that.
And also it affects your social development as well. I think people have lost the sense of being able to interact with one another.
And do you think that people are getting on social media at too young an age, therefore?
Yeah, I think that it warps your view of yourself, and I think that the best thing that we can do for children is to not allow them to get on social media until they're at a point in their life where they can understand that it's not all real, and that they understand how to be social in public and how to have normal social cues and how to have normal conversations in real life that aren't over text.
It's having a negative effect on young people, I think. Currently, at this moment, yeah.
And do you think that you got onto social media at too young an age? Do you think it would have been better if you got on social media later?
I personally got on social media at age 9. So, yes, I got there a little too early, but also I know some people that didn't get onto social media early enough and now they just don't understand the world. They're too innocent.
Australia is planning on passing a law that will basically ban social media for those who are under the age of 16. What do you think about such a policy? Do you think it's something that the European Union should perhaps look into as well?
I think that even though it might be a good initiative, there's also a big problem with enforcement in something like this. I mean, we saw that Facebook and Instagram had the minimum ages of 13, and we know that it's extremely easy to circumvent. And I think that if you don't have proper enforcement mechanisms in place to kind of police that, it's going to be very difficult to have it be enforced.
I think 16 is quite absurd, to be honest. If everyone grabs a time machine and goes back to the time that they were 16, I'm sure that they would be able to form their own opinions and see what information is good and what information is bad. At the end of the day, I don't think the state should intervene at any age. I think it should be the parents who hold that responsibility of the child. And even if it's at 6 years old, the parents should be responsible, I think.
I think that ideologically it's probably a good idea. I think that the social media exposure for people at a very young age are having very negative effects. But I think that it's something that needs the required studies to see if it would be effective, weighing the pros and the cons. I don't think that I am in a competent enough position to kind of...
I think that the idea is good, just maybe the age is a bit too high, 60. Maybe if it were for a younger age, like maybe 10, 11, maybe it would be much better to enforce.
So when the state is intervening in a matter such as this, where information is at play, misinformation, information, truth, lies, I think the state shouldn't intervene. I think it should be the individual, and that individual in that case would be the parent.
I think that it's a good idea, but I don't know how it will actually work in practice. You know, it's going to be hard to kind of control the ages of people that are using your platforms. And while to a certain extent I think it will decrease the amount of young people on social media, I think that it's not going to be that effective. I do think that it's a good idea in theory that young people shouldn't be on social media, because I don't think that it's very healthy. But in general, I don't know how successful it will be once put into practice.
I didn't have a proper smartphone until 17, and I think that kind of shaped the person I am today. I am very well read. I enjoy very, common chatter with my friend. We don't always talk about the same stuff. It made me a more deep thinker, But yeah, I've never really had a phone up until that age, but I thought it was good. But then obviously when I learnt into social media, I found the pros of it. I could communicate with my friends. There was a lot of content that I enjoyed. So yeah, the algorithm does work sometimes, yeah.
Oh, perfect. So on the basis of this, given that you're especially someone who got onto social media a bit later, what do you think about Australia have a policy at the moment where they're banning social media for people under the age of 16? So they would be younger than the age that you got on social media at. And Malta's thinking of following suit. What do you think of such a policy? Do you think it will work? Do you think it's only good in theory? What's your opinion?
I think because of the repercussions that we've seen nowadays, I think it would be a good idea. On paper, obviously, in theory, it would be a good idea. But in practice, I don't see how well it would work. I think if they were to do it, I think some types of social media should be banned, but then there should be some applications for people to be able to use, because at the end of the day, social media and technology does provide us with some skills, some technological skills, because I barely know how to use a phone. That's one of the reasons that I went on social media. So, but I think it should be gradual instead of kind of cold turkeying it for people. But yeah, I think it would be good if they kind of went slowly with it, yeah.